So, Sanjeev-Ji, you've mentioned to me before the fact that we are not our bodies. When you said that we're not our bodies and that our real selves are separate from that, what exactly did you mean by this?
So in Brahmanda Yoga, we say, I am not this body. This body belongs to me. I am not even this mind. My mind belongs to me. And there is a chanting also we do. I am not this body. I am the soul. So my real existence is my soul, or call it my consciousness. That is my real existence. Body and mind are instruments of our consciousness. That means that our body and mind ideally should be controlled by our consciousness. But we live, most of us live, most of our lives in just body consciousness, that I am this body and maybe my mind. There's nothing beyond me, because if I think I am the body and if I think I am the mind, then I have no control over it. Because if I am above my body, above my mind, which I am as consciousness, then I have full control over my body and my mind. Then I will have my body and my mind behave the way I want. But most of us, since we live in body consciousness, and not even, I would say, not even proper body consciousness. How many people are aware properly of their body? I think if we go to our introductory video, we have done a small process to at least get back into body consciousness. I would recommend people to go and watch that. So at least you get into the body consciousness to start. And then, of course, as we do the sadhanas and meditations, then you can rise, take your awareness, your consciousness above your body, above your mind. And as you rise in your sadhana, as you progress, you become more and more connected to your consciousness. And then you can control what you want in your life. So this is how we are above our body and mind consciousness. We do not live in the body and mind consciousness in an ideal situation. And in Brahmanda Yoga, we learn how to rise above that, how to connect to our consciousness, to my higher self. Call it my soul. So that is, we call real progress in spirituality.
How do we know when we're actually controlling it from our consciousness or whether we're still running on autopilot? Does there come a time where we just kind of, it clicks and we know? Or is it, and things start changing? Or is it just like, it's a feeling? What is it?
It's not that one day you sleep at a certain level and tomorrow you're going to wake up at such that something is going to click, like a button is turned on. No, it is a gradual process. As you slowly get out of the body consciousness, mind consciousness, and you go to your real consciousness as you do more sadhana and meditations of Brahmanda Yoga. So it is a gradual process. There is no turn on and off switch that you will see a sea of a difference. But you will see the difference in a gradual manner, but it'll be very clear, very obvious.
And we hear this word meditation all the time. And like just to touch really quickly on what you mean by the practices of Brahmanda Yoga and the meditations and practices of it, how do our practices differ from typically how meditation is viewed?
So, as we've discussed in some other videos before also, meditation is a word which is more misused, or I would say even abused. Anybody who says that this is a meditation, sit in a quiet room, empty room, turn on some nice lights, burn an incense, and nice soothing music, close your eyes, you know, think you're in a beautiful garden, the birds are singing, the butterflies are flapping their wings. It's a relaxation, I would say. I'm not saying that is not beneficial, but it's not meditation. You may be in that, imagine yourself in that environment, but your mind is still racing at 200 miles an hour. Meditation, you need to take control over your processes, what is going on in your body and your mind. And in Brahman Yoga, we follow the ancient process of the 8 steps of Yam, Niyamasana, Pranayam, Pratihar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. So if you go look at these steps, the Pratihar part, which is preventing your mind from running externally to 100 places, can be accomplished only after pranayam. If you do not do pranayams, if you do not do prana kriyas, it is almost impossible to control your mind, to stop your mind and achieve the statement of pratihar and then dharana, dhyan and samadhi. It is so essential. That's why it is different. There is no quick fix. There is no that sit down and you will be in a Zen state in 5 minutes. In Brahmanda Yoga, yes, but then certain things are fast. Using a prana kriya can help you experience stopping your mind within 15 minutes, which is very difficult for other practices to achieve. But then again, we are not kind of working on miracles kind of a thing. Like I said, it's a process. It needs to be adopted first, understood, and then practiced on a regular basis. So your growth is gradual. Because so many times, even if it was sudden and fast, your body and mind will not be able to handle it.
So it's almost like a mercy on us from the universe. Makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned the term Maya to me. And what is the significance of Maya from a spiritual standpoint? What is Maya exactly?
So again, it is a play of consciousness once again, that as we say, Maya is illusion. That what I see around me is not the reality. I am more seeing a reflection of who I am in the world. So take this room, it has a window and it has a glass. And now I am trying to look through this glass, through this window, trying to see the world. But now somebody has painted black paint on the window, which has now, from a glass, it has turned into a mirror. Now I think I am looking through the window and seeing the world, but I'm seeing a reflection of my own self. So on my consciousness, when there is a layer and layer of a black colored paint called the karmic effects that we have collected over this life and several lives, it is like that black paint. So my consciousness is very limited now. It is just seeing a reflection of me in the whole world. Have you seen some people saying this whole world is so bad? Whereas there are so many good things in this world. But this person is seeing its own reflection in the world.
Yeah, like somebody can be in one place at the same place, but
Yeah.
they can be experiencing.
Two different views, yeah. So the whole process of Brahmanda Yoga, once again, is that we remove slowly this paint of karmic effects. So now I'm looking through the same glass. First, when I start removing the paint a bit, I get to get maybe a glimpse of the real world outside. And then as I remove the paint more, it becomes more and more clearer. And when the last bit of that paint is gone, my conscience is pure and clean. So that is, you can state, the state of self-realization. I will explain this stories from our scriptures was Maya and illusion and how it works. So there was a very famous saint in our scriptures mentioned almost everywhere. The name was Narad Muni. And he was the disciple of Narayana or Lord Krishna. Once Narad asked Lord Krishna, what is Maya? And Krishna tried to explain it to him. Tried, and this conversation went on, but Narad would not understand. And as the conversation ensued, Krishna said, Narad, I am thirsty. We'll talk about this. Can you go and get me some water? So they're in this open, lonely place. And how can Narad say no to his guru? So he left, and he walked and eventually came to this place near a village where he saw a well. So, okay, I'll get some water for my Krishna from here. As he reached near the well, he saw the most beautiful woman taking water out of the well. And it was like instantaneous. He just fell in love head over heels. And instantly he decided, I want to get married to her. He just could not take his eyes off this woman. And the woman kind of ignored him, took out the water in a bucket, and then started walking away. And Narad followed. And this woman reached her home in the village, entered the home, and he entered after this woman inside the house. But the father of the woman stopped him. He said, who are you? Where are you going? He says, I'm in love with your daughter. I want to get married. I'm a saint. I'm like highly qualified, educated. I have like a lot of powers. I'll keep your daughter very happy. And the father looked at him and said, yeah, it looks like that. But say, I have only one condition. See, I am the head of this whole village of a tribe. And I don't have a son. And it's a tradition in a tribe that the son or the daughter has to become the chief after the chief passes away. So now I have a daughter. If you get married to her, after me, you will have to become the chief. So you cannot go away from here. He says, I'm not going anywhere. I just want to get married to her right now. On terms agreed, he got married. And he just started living there. And he had a child, two children, three children, four children. And the routine went on. After some time, the father died, or his wife died, and he became the chief of the village. And life was going on, not like happy, you can say, but comfortable, comfort zone. And so one day, things changed. A series of floods came. It was monsoon season in India. And everything started getting washed away. First, his house was washed away. And he took his family into a small boat. But the flood kept growing stronger and stronger, and the boat overturned. First, his wife was swept away. Then one by one, all the children were swept away. And then came a big wave and threw Narad on a dry land. And he got up and he wailing and crying, looking at God. What is this? What have I done? I was living so happily, so peacefully. Everything was so good. Why did you have to do this to me? And then he was crying, he heard the sound of Lord Krishna. He says, Narad, where is my water? I'm thirsty. And he just woke up from this dream that he was living in and remembered everything. So, and then he went to Lord Krishna as they realized that this was all, just, yeah. And then Krishna said, Narad, this is Maya. This is illusion. So we are all living in that state of Maya, illusion, that this is my world, my family, my work, my body, my mind, that's all. Whereas my reality is much bigger, as you asked in the first question. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. I'm above that. And that is why in Brhamanda Yoga we say, to shake you up from this dream, this maya, this illusion, you need a guru, a guide, a teacher who will come in your life and shake you up and wake you up and show you that you are living in an illusion. Come out and see the power. You are not this body, you're not this mind. You are so much more powerful than that.
And some people, you mentioned the black paint over the window, right? So some people, are they born with less black paint over the window, or are there some people that are actually born enlightened or self-realized? Is it all based on the karmic deeds of the past lives?
It is based upon the past life karmic deeds. If a person in a previous life or lives had done a lot of spiritual work, he may have removed more paint in previous lives compared to another person who has never done anything and the paint is thicker. But it's not important how thick the paint is. More important is, have you started that journey to remove the paint? Because even if the paint is more, once you start removing, get into the process of removing the paint, then it'll be gone one day. But I just keep on comparing whether I have more, less. It's not going to change. It's not going to help.
Yeah, paint still remains. Yeah. So my next question, Sanjeev-Ji, this has to do with change. And we've mentioned this before, but the way I want to ask you about this is, why is it that many of us often feel helpless in the face of change?
It's an interesting question. But before I answer, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what is the most dangerous place to live in?
In the dark.
Maybe. But even more dangerous in the dark.
What?
Your comfort zone. Because we are so comfortable in our zones. And the moment this word or the idea of change comes, puts us in a huge discomfort. And that's why we start fearing. First of all, you feel that there's no need to change. I'm comfort. I'm living in a comfortable state.
Right.
Why should I change? And then also understand change is not easy. Change still may be a little bit easier. Transformation, very difficult. A lot of work is needed. Comfort zone means getting most of the things done with least amount of work. Whereas change and transformation is leaving that comfort zone, taking on a challenge, learning new things, doing sadhana, doing meditations, to remove my garbage, to bring in the change, to bring in the transformation. So anything that is, this has even a least bit of a suggestion to most people to come out of their comfort zone, it creates a sense of fear and hopelessness. And I don't want it. Oh, why should I do it? It's like there's a friend of mine, super overweight. And I asked him, like, why don't you go to the gym? He says, like, I am comfortable. And he says, sometimes I do get this strong urge from inside that I had this feeling, that I should start going to the gym. And I was happy. He says, then what do you do? He says, I sit back, take a few deep breaths till that feeling goes away. Then I sit back in my comfort zone again.
Wow, no way.
So this is like what I say is the reason why we are sitting comfortably in our zones and not wanting a change. Even the suggestion of a change brings fear and hopelessness.
Is it because we've tried to change a lot before and failed?
Sometimes you've tried, like, first of all, tried comes secondary. Primary is that there is no need for change. I'm comfortable. I'm okay. So the little bit of a few things that I don't have in my life, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it.
And is that why change is typically such a painful process? Like, is that why it is that people shy away from getting out of their comfort zone because it's so painful?
This is a very important question, Ali. Change is uncomfortable, transformation is painful. Because a little bit of change here and there is not going to change me or my life and my outcomes significantly. Transformation will. I'll give you an example, right? You take a seed, and when you plant it in the ground, it doesn't change. It transforms. That process, if you were able to see this, first of all, it breaks open. It loses itself completely what it was. And then, after the breaking of the seed happens, a sprout appears, which slowly grows. For a seed to turn into a plant and a tree, it's a painful process. It's a transformation. It's not that the seed is round, you have made it little elongated. No. Look at a butterfly, evolution of butterfly. You know, larva, pupa, and then they create that, what you call, cocoon. And when that cocoon bursts out, the butterfly has to put its effort, life to come out of that cocoon, to burst that cocoon open, and then come out beautiful as a. If you look at larva, pupil, cocoon, they're not very pleasant to look at. Butterfly is. So if you look at change, transformation, it will be painful. I can give you another example because there are many to show, because we need to know different scenarios to kind of understand and get some motivation to change. If you see an eagle, the life of an eagle lives about 70, 80 years. But most people don't know by the age 40, its sharpest beak, it starts becoming crooked. It claws, which, to catch his prey, they curl up. Its feathers become heavy. And now, if it chooses to be like this, it cannot catch any prey, eventually die. But that's not what the eagle does. It goes, climbs a very high place like a mountain or a rock. And first, what it does is it bangs its beak on the rock and breaks it. It bleeds. Then it rubs its claws on the rocks and they break away. Their claws bleed. And slowly, he cannot eat. He's starving for that time. Slowly, the beak, fresh beak, comes out. And now he uses his beak to pluck off all the excess feathers. And after all this process happens, his brand new beak, new sharp claws come out, and his feathers are lightweight. Then he goes on to live another 40 years. So it transforms, no change. And this is the only way of success in life, even materially and spiritually both. You need to transform. And if you want to transform, you will need to go through some pain. There's no free lunch in this world.
And does it mean that transformation is a accumulation of a whole bunch of small changes that we're making, or then what's the process of transformation instead of just changing one small thing at a time?
It could be, but after a series of changes, if this object or thing that you have started with is still more or less the same, it's still a series of changes. Transformation that you do not look like what you were before. Like this eagle at the age 40, it's an old, heavy, bulky, curved claws. There's no change in this. When the whole transformation is over, it's like a brand new young eagle again. Like the butterfly
Yeah.
has no resemblance to a pupa or a larva. Nothing.
So all eagles will do this then? Or is it just,
All eagles have to do this.
why is it that the eagle has the strength and many humans don't realize that strength?
See, we don't know how this is, like why only eagles, not others. But what we know is that as human beings, we can look for inspiration in these instances. So instead of asking why, we ask ourselves how I can be like that eagle and bring transformation in my life.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Speaking of change, right? My next question was actually to do with surrender. How does surrender play a role in the process of change? How can we practice it and also distinguish between the feeling of, okay, we are trying to surrender to the change and it's not that we're giving up?
Yeah, so first we must understand the meaning of surrender, right? What we usually know, what is surrender? We know, see that in usual terms, we see one army surrendering to another army. A fight is going on, somebody is weaker, he surrenders. So we see surrender in a negative manner. But in spirituality, surrender is a positive thing. Now, if you see, say, two armies fighting, or two people fighting, they're fighting because to satisfy their egos, that I'm stronger than you. I'm trying to prove it. So, but eventually one gets beaten up and he surrenders. In spirituality, it's more or less the same. We find it very difficult to surrender because of our egos. Because me, my. How can, you be bigger than me, more stronger than me? In spirit, when I meditate, this I remains. And this I is the biggest obstacle in my growth. And if now you look at how, if you want to see a surrender in a different light, I'll give you an example. I blindfold you, Ali, and says, I'm taking you on a surprise trip. All you feel is in a plane and a helicopter. And then I tell you, Ali, I'm going to remove the blindfold. And I remove the blindfold, and you see yourself standing in front of Mount Everest. Like, 29,000 feet? And you're standing there, that massive, there is no ego left. You see your smallness like that, how tiny you are in front of that. Surrender automatically happens. Surrender would happen once I see something bigger than me. When I see my inner self, my higher self, which is so much bigger, huge than I am, surrender happens. Because without surrender, change will not, transformation will not happen. The seed would want to remain a seed in the comfort zone. A caterpillar, a larva would want to be what they are. Why go through that transformation? I am happy where I am. For surrender is the key and a very powerful tool, you can say, in our spiritual growth. So surrender is essential. It'll come with your sadhana, it'll come with your practice. But again, your teacher, your guide, your guru will help you achieve that. And the more we surrender, because our ego tells me, I'll control this, I'll control this, I'll control this, I'll control everything, I'll control the whole world. Whereas my consciousness, my inner self, is infinite. When I surrender that, all the control onto him, says, I hand over all my controls onto you. You take the controls. That is surrender. When that is complete, it is just most beautiful and amazing feeling.
And also, you said one of the main reasons that we cannot surrender is because of our ego, right? Is also another reason that we cannot surrender. Is it to do with maybe our fear? Because, like, for instance, somebody like for me, I was grown up a Muslim, right? And when I started learning Brahmanda Yoga, it had nothing to do with religion, but it also is a key to salvation, inner salvation, and liberation. So I was always scared to like kind of initially surrender to everything, and I think people could probably relate to this. So my question is, how do those two things relate?
You're absolutely right. Fear can be a reason to prevent us from surrender. Ego is another one. But ego usually comes into play more. But fear, you're right, fear is definitely a factor that prevents us from surrender. Because again, it's a concept of what will happen. Yeah. I don't know. The uncertainty, the darkness.
Now, this brings me to the question of, and you've mentioned this term to me a lot, nothingness, right? What is nothingness, and why is it that something that seems so empty is so sought after in spirituality?
People have heard about it, and most have not experienced it. Right. So that excitement of experiencing something that are not before kind of excites people. Yeah. But when they start working on it, it mostly causes fear. See nothingness. Leave alone a state of complete nothingness. If you take any person, average person, put him in an empty room which has nothing in it, see the level of discomfort immediately this person will have. Stress levels will go up. Mind will start running at 1,000 miles an hour. What's happening? So, because we are so trained in our life to live externally, live in a life of action, always doing things. And that's when you put them in an opposite state of slowing down even, leave alone going to that state of nothingness. People are not comfortable. And now you take them into an empty room even. I'm not even talking about an empty mind yet. It produces fear. And that's what we've talked about in our other videos. It's about shutting up. Because we are so busy in our life, talking, yakking. And in the language of God that we talked. Yeah. And that's what we described, that what is the difference between a prayer and a meditation? A prayer is we talk. Yeah. We ask, God, give me this, God, give me this, or give me this, universe, give me this. In meditation, we shut up and let the universe do the talking. So we listen. So that will happen in a state of nothingness, even in an initial stage, which is in our scriptures in ancient yogic language is called shunya. Shunya is also the word used for zero, which is again nothing. So it is not an easy state to achieve. But once you have achieved it with the help of a guru, with the help of your daily practice, sadhana, prankriyas, meditations, it's one of the most beautiful states. Once you go in there, it's very difficult to come out of it. Because when you come out of it, everything sounds like a cacophony. It's like loud music blaring. So you so much fall in love with that inner peace, the inner nothingness. First, but you have to get used to the outer nothingness. So it's a gradual process again. I learned how to find peace and quiet externally. Then I do my sadhana. I remove my garbage. And as I get closer to my real self, as my consciousness rises, as clarity comes into my life because of all these, and then I start going to the inner zone and reach that state of nothingness. In meditations, most of our meditations, we reach that state on a regular basis. And you have experience. You don't want to come out of it. It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And that is where, say for example, this house that is here. You want to create a beautiful palace like a place here. You cannot make changes. You will have to pull it down and reduce it to nothing. And then you will be able to build upon it. And that's why I said creation, manifestation happens only in the state of nothingness, where nothing of old is there and you create only new. So it is very significant.
That's a beautiful explanation. Very well explained. And this brings me to my next question, which actually has to do with dreams. Sanjeev-Ji, how do dreams fit into our understanding of reality? Is my main question. And are dreams just illusions, or do they actually reveal something that's real?
So, all over, you can see around experts who will tell you the meanings of your dreams and this and
The dream interpretation.
yeah, dream interpretation. In Brahmanda Yoga, we put very little significance on dreams. What dreams really are is a play of your consciousness. Means that you have so many experiences sitting in your subconscious mind, your fourth body. And what your consciousness does in a dream state, in a lower state of mind, is that it picks up 2 or 3 different events. It connects them, creates a story, and you see it. So it does have a relevance that, say, a person who has never heard or seen an elephant, the likelihood of that person dreaming of an elephant is very little. So what you are dreaming, what you are seeing in your dreams, is linked to something that you have experienced before. So it's just picking up some memories that you remember, some you don't, weaving them together and bringing them to you as a display. So it could be a pleasant one, it could be a bad one. If there's mostly bad ones, that means you still have a lot of garbage inside of you.
Because the brain is picking from, it only has garbage to pick from, basically, is what you're saying.
So we don't put too much significance in dreams. It's a waste of.
So they're basically just very arbitrary and they're to be
Yeah.
ignored, kind of thing. So the next question I had for you, Sanjeev-Ji, was to do with consciousness. And we've often talked about the collective consciousness. And what I want to know is, what is the effect of, does the collective consciousness have an effect on the individual's consciousness? And what is this effect? How big is this effect?
In some cases, it can be huge, but it definitely has an influence on our lives. In today's world, it's growing bigger and bigger. But before we understand the concept of individual and collective consciousness, we must understand the thought of individual karma and collective karma. Individual karma is we all doing every day. What actions we are doing, what thoughts we are thinking, is individual karma. And then you get together with a group of friends and go fight with somebody, beat up somebody innocent. Collective karma. I'm just saying, not a maybe relevant example or not, but like whole bunch of Nazis did those horrible things, mass murders, collective karma. Similarly, it can be a good one too. So we have to face in our life the outcomes of our individual karma and collective karma. I'll give you an example. Take a plane, 300 people in that plane, no connection to each other most likely. Different countries, different backgrounds, and it crashes and kills all 300 people together. An outcome of a collective outcome. But we don't know, maybe in another life, these 300 people got together like those Nazis and did something horrible. So they are facing the individual outcome of a collective outcome of a karma. Similarly, we have individual consciousness and collective consciousness. Individual consciousness is what you are thinking. But there are so many things. You think together as a family. Then you think something together as a society, or something together as a religion, something together as a nation. This is called collective consciousness. Plays a huge role in the outcome of our lives individually and collectively. Say if you are in a country where the collective consciousness is positive, for most of the people it'll be a good life. You go to another country where the collective consciousness is negative. They fear wars, social unrest, and a lot of other things. But this is what we are doing today. But we all have done karma based upon individual and collective consciousness in the past or in previous lives. So how do we change that? And that is why we say three pillars of our Brahmanda Yoga is sadhana, seva, sankirtan. Sankirtan is when these like-minded people come together, we meditate together, we sing together, we chant together to raise our collective consciousness. One person's consciousness may sometimes be not strong enough, not evolved enough to change some outcomes, but collective consciousness can do it. So, very, very significant, both individual and collective consciousness, and in Brahmanda Yoga, we work on both.
I wanted to ask you, what is the difference between sanchit karma and prarabdha? And how do we protect ourselves from basically these karmic outcomes?
Very significant question. First, to understand what's the difference between sanchit karma and prarabdha. Sanchit karma, in general, then I can, in layman terms, is a collection or collective, my entire karma of this and my previous lives. That's what sanchit karma is. And my karma is going to produce outcomes in this life. But if I look at all the millions of karmas, how can they bring outcomes in one single life? It's not possible. So some of those sanchit karmas will become activated and get ready to produce effects in your life, results or outcomes in your life. I'll give you an example. A person who's a shooter like bow and arrow, he carries a quiver on his back. So all the arrows that is there in his quiver, you can call them sanchit karma. But one arrow he has taken out, put it on his bow, ready to be shot, is prarabdha. So how? We can do that in different ways. All three pillars of Brahmanda Yoga. Do sadhana, more sadhana. Do seva, selfless service, and do Sankirtan, get together, chant, sing, meditate together. And if you intensify all these, you can stop the prarabdha. Prarabdha becomes sanchit again. And once sanchit starts going away, the quiver is empty. So this is how the difference is between sanchit and prarabdha, and this is how we can protect ourselves.
Now, Sanjeev-ji, so obviously pranayamas and pran kriyas are one of the biggest parts of Brahmanda Yoga, one of the main components. As you mentioned before, that we can't even get to certain states without even getting to state of nothingness without doing that. So can you explain, just for the common layman, what are some of the physical and mental benefits that pranayamas and pran kriyas bring?
Okay, so I think we might have touched about our 5 bodies in our previous.
Yes, the koshas, yes.
So if you look at the first 2 bodies, physical body, which is made of food only, and the second body is made of prana.
Yeah.
And has channels or nadis, 7.2 million out of the 3 predominant ones, Ida, Pingla, and Sushumna, and the chakras
Yes.
in it. But it has 7.2 million nadis through which the prana flows to different parts of our body. And if there is an obstruction or not enough prana coming in, then different parts of the body can get sick. So it has an impact on both your second and your first body. It'll also have an impact on the third body. Because if you are sick, it'll disturb your thought process also. So your thoughts and emotions will change. So very significant that we do pranayams and pran kriyas to bring in more prana in our body and burn all the blockages. So very essential.
It feels like it does so much for, even just the pranayams themselves, not even including the meditations. It does so much for concentration,
Oh yeah.
calmness, feeling.
Yeah, that's why it has an impact on your first body, second body, and your third body. So that's why I said in our previous question also, there can be no meditation without pranayama and pran kriyas. You can call it something else, peaceful mind, relaxation, eyes closed in a beautiful garden kind of a thing, but not meditation. So very essential for your physical health, mental health, and emotional health.
And as a bonus, last question, actually, I wanted to ask you, since we were talking about prana, right?
Yeah.
Does the prana body, you once mentioned to me that it is capable of like almost superhuman kind of strength. Can you explain that a little bit more? Like you had some examples of some yogis in India that were able to do some incredible things. Can you explain how that works?
Yes, because each subsequent body is more stronger and powerful than the previous one. So the prana body, of course, being more powerful than physical body, mind body being more powerful than the fourth body being more powerful. But first thing you must understand, these superhuman things, that is not our objective. Some yogis do it. Love and peace to them. Then you get caught in these miracles and you lose your focus on your growth. In Brhamanda Yoga, it is said, as you will progress, you will develop a lot of superpowers, of which you may not be even aware of. And your guru will never even tell you that, for the fear that you may get caught in those. So we don't put too much emphasis on those. But yes, since so many yogis have done it, it's doable.
And these powers kind of they get revealed in us gradually as we progress when we're ready, just like self-realization.
Exactly.
right? So it becomes a very natural.
When we will not misuse them,
We won't miss it.
when we will not be get caught into them.
Right.
To watch our previous podcasts, click here. And finally, I bow down to all of you and the divinity within you.